with Civic Center TV on all of our social media platforms for further updates. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
Appreciate the report, Jake. That is available on civiccentertv.com. In addition, Jake Schaff from our team is planning to speak to the Road Commission for Oakland County to discuss what this means for Pine Lake Road and Orchard Lake in West Bloomfield. That section of our community, it's a relatively thin road. It does wind right around the coast of Pine Lake. How does an incident like this impact the future of that particular road? And what is the Road Commission, other local organizations and entities doing to provide safety in the future as a result of what has been learned from this particular situation? Stay tuned on civiccentertv.com for more information as we continue to cover this story in West Bloomfield Township. Close to home, one of the absolute hallmarks of the greater West Bloomfield community is its beautiful, pristine, natural environment. It's why people move to West Bloomfield, Keego Harbor, Orchard Lake, and Sylvan Lake. And while our landscapers and our gardeners, those working in our parks departments across the community play a huge role in it, those that play an even bigger role are our pollinators, and they're being celebrated by Bees in the D and West Bloomfield Parks with bees, butterflies, and blooms on Saturday, August 22nd at Marshbank Park. Joining us on The Splash to talk about it even more is Brian Peterson-Roast from Bees in the D, who's outside at one of his hives across the community here in Southeast Michigan. Brian, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, it's always great to see you.
Good to see you too, and good to have you outdoors amongst the nature that we are celebrating with this segment and with this event coming up. Bees, Butterflies and Blooms Pollinator Festival, family-friendly, free, celebrating the role of our pollinators in our community. Tell us about it. What's going to happen? What's the celebration going to be like, Brian?
Yeah, so it's an annual event, this great collaboration that we love doing with West Bloomfield Parks. It's going to be August 22nd at 10 a.m. at Marshbank Park, and there'll be monarch tagging, beeswax crafts, nature seeds. I'll do a couple presentations there, Show Me the Honey and Pollinator's Garden. And something new is I'm going to have an ASL interpreter there as well for my presentations, which will be kind of a cool experience.
And it's going to be a fun day, too, because it gets people out and about. They get to see the nature that they're involved in. Marshbank Park, such a great environment to emphasize and to give that tangible look of how these pollinators and their work plays a role directly in our community and a place people visit each and every day. You've been doing this advocacy work for a long time, particularly for the bees, who are critical pollinators in our community. But even after all these years, even after how much the community has embraced this sort of education to learn about their local nature, what still do you emphasize as you go out and talk to people about the role of pollinators in our local nature?
One of the things I love to make sure people understand is the diversity of pollinators.
Yep.
I mean, there's 450 different kinds of bees just in Michigan. And then there's other pollinators, wasps, hornets, birds, moths, all kinds of different pollinators. And so it's great for people to understand that you so often just say the bees, but there's a lot more beyond the bees, the butterflies. And so it's important that we understand that we're helping a large group of very diverse insects and other species as well.
And it's a great time to emphasize that too, because this is the time of the year where people get out and about. They're outside more often. They try to get out every single day, and maybe they're on the trails or they're in the parks and the bees fly around them. They tend to be scared of them, but one of the things that you definitely teach people over time and you try to get into everyone's mind is that these bees are actually really helpful and they're not coming after you. What should people know about bees and their role in the community, and why maybe they do interact with people on occasion?
Yeah, actually around this time of year, it's not usually the bees that are interacting with people. It is wasps, the yellow jackets. And they're just curious because maybe you have a perfume on, or maybe you have some food in your hand, and they're just trying to get ready for the winter as well. But bees do interact sometimes if there's some sweetness around. But they're mainly interested in the flowers. They're getting the nectar and the pollen from the flowers. But one of the best things you can do is just kind of stay calm, let them do what they need to do. I always say, let them be, and they'll go on and do what they'll do. One of the worst things to do is to kind of overreact and start waving and running and stuff like that, because that can be viewed as a threat. And that's when they get nervous, and that's when, they can accidentally sting or try to defend themselves.
So how do you provide hands-on education, something that is tangible, something that is interactive, that not only tells people and preaches to people that, hey, look, we love our pollinators. The butterflies, they're great. The bees, they're great. These other pollinators, excellent. Here's what they do. But show them the impact it actually has.
Yeah, so we do a lot of great things with West Bloomfield Parks. We do our hive tours because we have some bees right there in West Bloomfield, some hives that we use. But it goes even beyond that. We have a lot of other events like this one coming up where you can educate. It's bee-free. There may be a few that are just in the flowers nearby at Marshbank. But we also do some events like save on your calendar November 21st, or the registration's already open on our webpage or on West Bloomfield Parks, where we do a honey sommelier event because it helps us educate about also some of the byproducts that, in this case, our honeybees do provide for us.
And then you have these events that bring people together, that have these educational elements, that have these interactive elements, that put people in the nature itself. How do you find, whether it's this event with West Bloomfield Parks annually, the other participating events that you join in on with parks, or even just your events with Bees in the D throughout the region, how do you find that those interactive experiences make people or encourage people to be better environmental stewards?
It's always so amazing to me. I love the before and afters, or where people go to one of our educational seminars, or even volunteer and help us harvest honey, or any of the things where people's eyes are open because we're constantly educating, sharing about things, and they realize they've had a lot of misconceptions about many of these things, and they walk away feeling like, yeah, we can coexist. We can be a part of this bigger solution, very simply by either planting natives or being supportive of our local beekeepers or our local farmers. And so it's always great to see the change and the excitement that people have after we do our events.
And it gets people thinking about something in their community that they see every day, they observe every day, they love about Greater West Bloomfield. Now they know a little bit more about it. So Brian, for those that maybe haven't attended this event before, Bees, Butterflies, and Blooms, what should they know about it before they go, or why should they consider making this part of their day on Saturday, August 22nd?
Just come in comfortable clothes. It's very laid back. It's like you're going for a walk, but you're getting a little bit of education out there, and you get to go from kind of tent to tent and learn different things and do different crafts. My presentations will be inside of the Marshbanks there, so you can get outside or inside from the outdoors if you need a little break. We don't know what the weather's going to be like, of course, but if it's hotter. But yeah, just come ready to learn, ready to have a great time. Great for kids, extremely kid-friendly as well.
It's going to be sunny. It's going to be warm, but not too hot. It's going to be a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky, and there's going to be thousands of people that come out to enjoy this beautiful event. Just like this. Exactly. That's why you're outside. We're putting an example out there, Mother Nature. This is what we're doing for Bees, Butterflies, and Blooms at West Bloomfield Parks. Brian, thank you so much for joining us. Anything else before we let you go today?
No, it's always a pleasure, and just make sure you get on West Bloomfield Park's website. They have so many amazing events, but I do want to push that honey sommelier one again, because I'm telling you, it's limited to just a few people because it's a very intimate event, and it is so unique. The people that go to this are always walk out going, wow, I never realized how complex honey is. And so we're really excited that we do this annually with West Bloomfield Parks.
Saturday, August 22nd. The event begins at 10 a.m. It concludes at 12 noon. Best part about it, it's free. You can attend with West Bloomfield Parks. Brian, thank you so much for joining us.
Always a pleasure sharing about the bees and my passion thanks for all that you do as well.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much, Brian. More information on this and other fun events celebrating nature, celebrating our community, having some fun outdoors in Marchbank Park and other places, wbparks.org, or follow them on Facebook at WB Parks. Or if you want to get involved with Bees in the D, learn more about those particular pollinators, you can visit them on beesinthed.com. Coming up on Saturday, August 15th, it is Bookstore Romance Day, bringing readers together and lovers together as well across our community. Now, that'll include a reader meetup and a book swap for those romance book lovers at your local bookstore, Schuler Books on Orchard Lake Road in West Bloomfield. Here to tell us more about the celebration and the big event is Elizabeth Bosher from Schuler Books, right here in West Bloomfield Township, their marketing coordinator. Elizabeth, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on. For viewers who may not be familiar, what is Bookstore Romance Day and how is Schuler Books getting involved in the fun?
Yeah, Bookstore Romance Day is a nationwide celebration of the romance genre in independent bookstores all across the country. And we are just one participant in it. But at Schuler Books, we are choosing to celebrate with a reader meetup and book swap, where you can choose to bring a few books that you have off your shelves and add them to the swap, and then take home a few more new ones and connect with other romance-loving readers.
And Elizabeth, whether it's books or it's movies or it's TV shows or recreational activities, people that tend to have their one specific niche, they really enjoy it. That definitely is the case for people that enjoy romance books and romance novels. So how big of a day is this for local bookstores?
Yeah, I think that over time, the romance industry has had its ups and downs. People don't always look on it favorably, but the general feeling about romance has definitely been improving, and those that love romance reading have found a lot of comfort and joy and connection in this community, and we love to encourage that. So we've definitely seen growth in people excited to celebrate on this day and really every day with romance. And romance continues to be one of our best-selling genres in the store, and we just love to celebrate that all year long.
And it's great because it gets people to come into the local bookstore right here on Orchard Lake Road in West Bloomfield, just before Northwestern Highway. Easy to get to, can't miss it. It's in a prominent spot. That's all great. But like you said earlier on, an important element to this is building a community of readers that love to go to the bookstore. So having a book exchange be part of your celebration for Bookstore Romance Day, how do you find that that does bring these readers together to go to their local bookstore, but also get together and get to know some of their fellow romance book lovers?
Yeah, it's so fun. You see this group of people who love to read similar things, and they'll come in and they'll share their books. They'll recommend books to other people, to strangers, to friends, and just get an opportunity to have a safe place to talk about something that they love. Maybe that they have other people already in their lives that they get to talk about their love of romance with, but maybe they don't, and maybe this is the place that they can find some people to share their love of this genre with. Often people view reading as a solitary experience, but we're here to encourage people to remember that it doesn't have to be solitary. Reading is a great way to build community. It's a great kind of cheat sheet to deeper conversations with people. You can bond over books you love or books you hate or things that you read in a book. And we see the romance community really embracing that aspect of reading, which is exciting.
More information can be found. Just search Schuler Books or stop in on West Bloomfield on Orchard Lake Road. The day for this in their bookstore Romance Day. There we go. Finally found my bearings. Bookstore Romance Day, August 15th. I'm so lost in the adoration of romance novels and talking about this fun event coming up. I lost the date. August 15th, Saturday at Schuler Books in West Bloomfield. Book exchange, reader meetup, so many more fun and games to have at the local bookstore too. And Elizabeth, this kind of goes back to a growing phenomenon with bookstores that have persisted, that are still in brick and mortar form today. Gone are the days where, do you have this book? We have the book listed. We'll put it aside for you. You can come in and search, come in and enjoy it. Maybe a book club meeting every now and then. Interactivity is so important to keeping bookstores a vital element of our community. How has that changed over the years for local bookstores, especially those that are still, in your case, somewhat in its infancy here in West Bloomfield at Schuler Books?
Yeah, sometimes we talk about how independent bookstores cannot always compete with other competition on pricing, but what we can compete with them on is experience. And we think that we bring an excellent experience to a reader's life by being able to come into a physical location, get recommendations from other book lovers, whether it be our booksellers or fellow customers, and experience these events. We do quite a few author events where you might discover a new book or a new author, or just be able to see your favorite author in person, as well as these community-focused events where we hope that there are connections that are made between strangers that could maybe become friends. So we think that indie bookstores have always been a community meeting space, but these events in particular are something that we can do to shine and provide a different kind of third space in your community, and we hope that you're able to check them out.
How do you feel that Schuler Books, as it stands now, with the events that it has, with the selection that's there, the staff in place, the location, that it does fulfill what you said as being that additional gathering place that people can go in their community, whether they're buying books, exploring, or not? How do you feel, especially in recent years, that Schuler's location in West Bloomfield has been able to fulfill that mission?
Yeah, we've seen that it's taken a little bit of time for people to come out of their shells, maybe, to find us where we are. But we've really been working hard to build a customer base who are excited to regularly come into the store, to call this their home store. Our rabid readers love to claim a store as their local indie, and we have loved being that for the West Bloomfield community. And as we build on these events and get more participants in the events, again, not only do we want you to connect with us as a store and our booksellers, but with each other, and we can just be the catalyst to that. And we've definitely seen a lot of growth in West Bloomfield in people participating in those kinds of things.
Bookstore Romance Day, Saturday, August 15th, book exchanges, reader meetups, so much more happening at Schuler Books. Elizabeth, is there a certain time of day that this is all going to be going on, or is it all throughout that Saturday in West Bloomfield?
Yeah, it's in the evening, so you're going to arrive. You need to arrive before 6:30. There's a little window to drop off your books, and then the exchange starts at 6:30 and goes till 7:30. And so it is a set amount of time, and all that information is on our website if you don't remember. But yes, we would love for you to all be there in the evening.
More information on this and other events happening at Schuler Books location in West Bloomfield and others across their locations throughout the state of Michigan. SchulerBooks.com, SCHULER, books.com, or visit them in the Gateway Center in West Bloomfield Township. Elizabeth, anything else for us that the audience should know about Bookstore Romance Day, events happening at your location in West Bloomfield, or maybe some other things coming up that they should also mark on their calendars?
Yeah, well, we're so excited about Bookstore Romance Day, and we do hope that you come to that. And if you can't make it to the evening event, come anyway in the morning or at any point during the day and pick out a new romance book. But we also have some other fun, exciting events coming up. We have a few ongoing events. We have a weekly story time, as well as a monthly audiobook and craft night and a monthly game night, which are also great places to find community. And then we have some really exciting authors that we want to bring your attention to. We have former U.S. Attorney Barbara McQuaid on August 26th. We have comic author Jason Douglas on September 9th. We have fantasy author Victoria Aveyard on September 10th. And we have an internet famous couple and ADHD awareness advocates Penn and Kim Holderness on September 28th. All of those are going to be really fantastic events that we would love for you to check out. And again, all that information is on our website at schulerbooks.com.
I'm going to mark those down. Gotta check my calendar. Big, amazing race fan, so the Holderness family, that would be one for me. And then I got to talk to Barb McQuaid. We got to share some thoughts on the Tarek Skubal trade. She had some very strong words for the Tigers after that. All things you can discuss with them, and some good books as well at your local bookstore, Schuler Books in West Bloomfield in the Gateway Center. Elizabeth, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
More information, schulerbooks.com, or visit them in the Gateway Center just off of Orchard Lake Road in West Bloomfield Township to learn more about this and join in on some of their other events as well. One more time, Bookstore Romance Day is Saturday, August 15th. As Elizabeth said, their events happening mostly in the evening, so make sure you're there right about 6:30, or better yet, even earlier. Check out some books, have some fun. Nice, relaxing environment right in the heart of our community. When we talk about Greater West Bloomfield, we mention our 4 communities, West Bloomfield Township, of course, as well as the Tri-Cities of Keego Harbor, Orchard Lake Village, and Sylvan Lake. Well, now we can add a 5th community to that list, a new village right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Zox Cass Lakeside community has now officially voted its village charter in on this August primary election ballot. It passed with flying colors, over 88% of the vote affirmative to ratify the village charter. And joining us now is one of the members of the community who's led the charge of this village effort is Chris Leduc. Chris, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Sure do appreciate it.
Happy to have you on to talk about this. Congratulations. This has been a massive effort between yourself and so many of your neighbors in the Cass Lakeside subdivision over the recent years to become a village, because what people may not understand, this is an historic community, a long-lasting community, one of many here in Greater West Bloomfield.
That's correct. Yeah, our community was developed around 1918. And it was developed as a resort community. So, I'm sure at the time it seemed like a great idea to install, we have these roughly 3 miles of canals throughout our community. And we also have 15 vehicular bridges. So we probably have more vehicular bridges that are supported by our 238 homes than in the rest of West Bloomfield. So after 100 years of wear and tear on these bridges, they've now accrued an infrastructure deficit. So we as a community have had to get together and figure out how are we going to resolve this. We also have a private water system that services our 238 homes, roughly 600 people. And that also was put in around 1918. So that is also a little over 100 years old. And so as a small community with sort of these heavy infrastructure burdens, it was left to us to figure out how best to solve these problems. And we worked with local stakeholders, including West Bloomfield Township, our elected representatives, Noah Arbit, Rosemary Bear, and Congresswoman Haley Stevens. And as we brainstormed ways that we could address this issue, the thing that made the most sense was to organize as a municipality.
And it's a pretty emphatic need when 90% of the voters in your community say yes on that proposal. 247 voters from this community voting on the village charter, 217 of those voting yes to ratify that charter. Now, this is also a really unique situation, Chris, because while the Cass Lakeside Village has now passed its charter, it's officially got its rules and regulations for that village, it still isn't part of West Bloomfield Township and does have access to many of the resources from the township proper. How does that dynamic work?
So I will say that the difference between Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, and we are Cass Lake Village. That is the name of the new municipality that we adopted yesterday. The difference is that Orchard Lake Village is a city, Keego is a city, Sylvan is a city, West Bloomfield's a township, but we're a village. So we actually continue to be within the township. We are part and parcel of the township. We have just reorganized our government from a community association to a village, but we continue to pay township taxes. We continue to vote for township officials. We continue to be represented by the township board. It's just the biggest difference, a couple differences. One is that in the past we had a flat HOA fee or like a flat tax. So whether your home was worth $250,000 or $2.5 million, we all paid the same amount. Now as a municipality, it's a progressive property tax, so it'll be based on your taxable value. And then, we are required to follow all the same procedures as other governmental groups within our other municipalities within our area. So things like Freedom of Information Act, transparency, record keeping, all of that. But what we did find is that when we went out and we looked for infrastructure funding, all of that funding assumed that you were a municipality, because there aren't many other community associations that manage 5 miles of roads, 5 miles of 4-inch water mains, 15 vehicular bridges, and 3 miles of canals that people can use. And so, what we found is when we went to go look just for loans, just for, low-priced infrastructure loans, that we didn't meet those requirements because we weren't a municipality. So that's what led us here, but we continue to be part of the township. Again, we continue to pay township taxes, unlike Sylvan or Orchard Lake, where they get 100% of their residents' tax revenue. Our village millage will be on top of the township taxes.
And this is pretty historic, too, because the last incorporated village in Michigan, 27 years ago. The last village in Oakland County, 60 years ago. This is an historic moment for your community, and that's all well and great, but the most important part about this, Chris, is that, as you have mentioned multiple times, having access to those resources to help your infrastructure in your community. Given that this has now gone official, and you now will have access to those resources should Cass Lake Village pursue them, how much of a huge help will this be to your community?
I mean, it's amazing because we, as a society, we organize infrastructure funding from the top down, right? It starts at federal, and then it goes to the states, and then it goes to the local community. Just our water system alone, we had the county quote replacing the water system for us so that we could leverage their bond. And they quoted us $15 million to replace our water mains. And so it's overwhelming. And again, we're only 238 homes, and none of us were around in 1918 when the community was developed. And none of us, a lot of us weren't around during this sort of accrual period where this deficit accrued over time. But we are a bunch of people who came together and understood it's going to cost money to fix this. But as you saw with the overwhelming response, I think because we already maintain a lot of our own infrastructure, we here at Cass Lake Village, we do have that sense of community and coming together that's sort of unique and gives us part of our character. But certainly, a $25-30 million deficit is a lot for 238 homes to carry. So, in Michigan, we have things like the drinking water revolving fund, right? Which is basically an infrastructure bank. They make low-cost loans to municipalities, where we would pay that money back over time. We're actually on their priority list in order to help us replace our water system. But the Treasury Department couldn't write us a check because, again, we weren't a municipality. So because we couldn't get bonding, we couldn't even borrow money. So, this will certainly help us tap into some of those low-price loans so that as we're taking on these large projects, we have the same access to resources that other communities do in Michigan.
Chris LeDuc is an HOA member of Zox Cass Lakeside, was the chair of their village committee, and is a resident of what is now known as Cass Lake Village right here in the greater West Bloomfield community, with their village charter passing by 90% affirmative vote in the August primary here in the state of Michigan. Chris, you had mentioned it earlier on. This was a long process. It's a daunting process, and it was taken on by residents of the community like you, not by government leaders, not by those with experience in making this all happen. So when you mentioned the support of local and state representation and helping this process move along, what does that mean to your community in Cass Lake Village?
So, I would say that these are other people who are experts, right? And they have visibility at what all the options are. So I think that the most support, I mean, there were a few things. One that came out, all three of the representatives that I mentioned, as well as representatives from the township, all came out and did community meetings to help, kind of validate that this is something that made sense for us. But as much as anything, since they see all the resources, they said, this is your best move forward. Nobody was necessarily pro-village, just being candid, because it's a heavy lift, like organizing a new municipality. It has, as you said, it hasn't been done in a long time. So we don't have zoning ordinances. We don't have a planning commission. And again, this is all volunteer driven. So it's a heavy lift. And so before we made that lift, having these experts come in and really roll up their sleeves and spend a lot of time with us and say, and explore all the other possibilities and validate both to our leadership and to the community, this is our best bet. That was incredibly helpful.
And how will these resources ultimately help you not only provide what you need, the updates that are vital to Cass Lake Village, but also to maintain the identity that's had for over 100 years, that so-called Little Venice that it is here in Greater West Bloomfield?
Yeah, that's correct. And, it's people are like, thanks for all the time and effort, because it's been a 4-year process. This is the culmination of a 4-year process. But I'm just grateful that I live in a community where they're willing to try new things and they're willing to get together and come together and work together. And as you see, it passed by an overwhelming number, but that's a result of us sitting in a lot of rooms and making space for everybody's ideas and making sure that everybody's heard. And then we all get together and we vote. And so, I'm just grateful that we all decided to come together and try this crazy experiment, because even when we were talking to the Attorney General's office about organizing and the State Boundary Commission, and we were looking at the processes, most of the people that were involved the last time this happened weren't in government or with us any longer. And so again, having sort of that support from those officials at helping us navigate through the process has been invaluable.
And a pretty cool moment for everybody in our local area, especially for those in Cass Lake Village. It's not often you're able to make history while also directly helping the very people you live amongst. Chris, before we let you go, now that Cass Lake Village is officially Cass Lake Village, what are the next steps for your community there?
Well, now the work begins. And so, as I said, we don't have zoning ordinances. People are like, if somebody wanted to add on to their house tomorrow, we don't have any way to tell them if it's okay or not. So the first thing we need to do is set a moratorium on any building projects. We need to have an intergovernmental agreement with the building department or hire building officials to come in. So it's a pretty heavy lift. And I think that we're all pretty aware of what that is. But fortunately, we have a wealth of talent here in our village and a spirit of togetherness and that, many hands make light work. So the next steps, we have a long task list. But I'm encouraged by everybody's willingness to step up and take on a little piece of it, and see over the next 2 years. The first term for all village council members is 2 years. And so one of the residents asked on our Facebook group, what do you see in 2 years? And, I want to see transparency. I want to see civic engagement, and I want to see us stand up a functioning sort of normal government, because it is sort of a unique experiment. So that's what I'd like to see. Those are the next steps.
Oh, before you can do the work of a village, you got to be a village. And that's exactly what Cass Lake Village did in the August primary. Chris, before we let you go, anything else, your lasting message to the community as you've surpassed this big milestone for your village?
Well, Cass Lake Village is around 109 years old, and so I hope that this puts us on the best footing for the next 109 years, and that in the next 100 years, people will look back and say, this was when we made history as a village in Michigan, and I think it'll be a source of pride for all of us. So I'm just very proud of our community.
Well, congratulations to you, to all that were involved in this multi-year process to be able to turn your 238 home, roughly 600 person population in Cass Lake Village into just that, a brand new village. Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
More information already available. If you want, just search Cass Lake Village in West Bloomfield and you'll be able to find more information. They already have their website online. It's got information about the process they've taken so far throughout this process to get on the ballot to ultimately be passed through as a village in the August primary. CassLakeSideVillage.com is the place that'll have all that information and a little bit background story as well, and a link to one of our story packages from Daniel Zivian way back when this was first starting to get some momentum. So you can kind of have that background information, come back to this conversation to today, and now you've got the full story from our brand new community in Greater West Bloomfield, Cass Lake Village, official as of the August 4th primary, with 90% of its voters officially making their village charter official. Close to home here in the Greater West Bloomfield community, one of the hallmarks of the year is the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. While it's coming past, the memories very much there. Some of the best art in the state of Michigan calling home on Powers and Daly Road for just 2 days on a beloved weekend that brings so many to our community. Calvin Brown from our team spoke to an artist with some very unique pieces to get an inside look at what we saw at this year's event.
Calvin Brown, Civic Center TV. I'm out here at the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show on Powers and Daly Road. I'm with Fernanda Turco, who makes beautiful, I'd almost say large pointillist art. I don't know how to describe it, but I want Fernanda to talk about it right now. Fernanda, thank you so much for coming on.
So it's all about like a shifting perspective, how sometimes if you're too close, you don't see when you're far away, you can see better, like a big picture. So it's all acrylic in canvas. I use one color per dot, and I put just enough, then you can tell what is there. So it's all art-related or artist-related. This collection is known as Icons Between the Dots. And as you guys can see, like I have Van Gogh, Mona Lisa, creation of Adams, and several other beautiful art.
And so tell me, do you have an inspiration behind like puzzles or iconography, or is it more of a game that you're looking? What's the experience you're trying to elicit with the art?
So I love art in general. So the whole point is how can I reimagine art like in the modern way. So that is my inspiration, and I love colors. As you guys can see, there's nothing was draw or anything like that. It's just a combination of colors that make the whole picture come alive.
And there's a lot of value to these kind of arts too, because I feel like at far distances and close up, they have a lot of readability, and that goes well with the phone and on social media as well. So I feel like anyone of any age can connect with this at even any distance. And could you tell me a bit about the inspiration behind the coloring, like the differences of the colors of the canvases in regards to the points that you're using? Does that help with the composition, or is that just for aesthetic? Or could you speak more on that?
Yeah, it's for aesthetic because I want to be pretty close to the original artwork. But pick the color and mixing. So I mix all my colors. That's the tricky part of this work and the most challenging part of, but most rewarding too, because when we see that the colors are fitting well together, that's very rewarding.
Awesome. And so tell me, if someone were to come home or with one of your pieces of art, what would you want them to do? How would you want them to present it? Would you almost want them to show them, or would you want someone to elicit a response from it?
So it's a conversation piece. A lot of people are even coming to the show and talking about like how it's different when you're close, far away, in different angles as well. So it's just that art that will bring people different types of experience.
And I really love that it seems like you're sharing a lot of unique art as well. I'm noticing a lot of different famous pieces that I can't name, but I can obviously recognize. I mean, Mona Lisa behind me, that one's pretty. I just looked behind me, the banana by, Andy Warhol?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, thank you so much. You look for iconic pieces of art, but are there pieces of art that speak to you as well that you try and show, almost like darned if they do, darned if they don't guess it? Like, is there art that you just do for you, or is it more about the experience of sharing it with the community?
So it's the idea of putting together, and when you start working on, you don't know exactly how that will turn out. So that challenge of putting together and then seeing something becoming alive, that is what drives me through do different things and try different arts and artists.
Our full coverage of the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show is available on CivicCenterTV.com, viewer on-demand page for even more of those segments. And if you're just tuning in, you can see that full segment as well. To get a little bit of a taste of the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show before both the West Bloomfield and Orchard Lake Fine Art Shows return in 2026. You can keep up to date with when they'll be back on hotworks.org, as Hotworks Art Shows is what organizes the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. That's our show. I want to remind you that television that's close to home is always online on CivicCenterTV.com and across our social media. You can find election results from the August 4th primary listed on our website on CivicCenterTV.com. We have a link at the very top of our page. We will keep it there for the remainder of the week, all the way through the beginning of next week. Click on that. It will take you to Oakland County's unofficial election results. Only unofficial because they haven't been certified by the Board of Canvassers. Those are the results directly from Oakland County on your local elections, as well as what Oakland County had to say in some of the most contested elections in the country, including that very competitive Democratic primary for U.S. Senate. Big thank you to our entire crew making the magic happen behind the scenes. Calvin Brown and Jonathan Montgomery at Master Control, along with Jake Schaff out in the field. And here's to you, of course, for being part of today's adventure along with us. For our entire team, I'm Tyler Kieft. Live, local, social, this is The Splash Live on Civic Center.